Anissa Jones.
In 1976, child star Anissa Jones was found dead at a friend's house after a party. As police investigated, they uncovered chilling details about what really happened that night. Anissa Jones charmed audiences across America with her cutesy performance as Buffy Davis on CBS's Family Affair. But as Hollywood has shown all too often, the glamorous life of a child star often obscures troubling darkness beneath the surface. Jones, tragically, was no different. Mary Anissa Jones was born on March 11, 1958, in Indiana. Not long after the birth of her younger brother Paul, the Jones family moved to California. The move would set Anissa's destiny in motion, but hardship began before her acting career did. Her parents divorced soon after their relocation. This kicked off a bitter custody battle over their two kids that would last for years, resulting in an eventual victory for Jones's father. But while the battle raged, Anissa was with her mother, Mary, who recognised her daughter's talents early and set to work trying to nurture them, though perhaps a little heavy-handedly. Mary was determined and enrolled Anissa in dance classes at the age of 4. The Joneses' new neighbours in California clearly found the young Anissa charming too, and they suggested Mary start bringing her to auditions for TV commercials. Anissa had immediate success, and by the age of 6, she was appearing in TV commercials for cereal. She would star in 3 more commercials over the next 2 years, but this was only the prelude to her eventual stardom.
She sure is pretty.
At 8 years old, Anissa Jones got her big break. She was discovered by a producer and cast in the role of Buffy Davis on CBS's new sitcom Family Affair in 1966. The show followed 3 orphaned children sent to live with their wealthy uncle. It was a wholesome premise, and Jones was perfect for the role. The young actress was physically suited too. She was small for her age, which meant that although she was 8 years old when she landed the role, she could passably play the 6-year-old Buffy, and audiences were smitten. Viewers received Family Affair and the character of Buffy rapturously. Her blonde hair, tied up in pigtails, and charming smile immediately made her a hit among America's increasingly large TV audience. Anissa Jones was easy to love, but the show was anything but easy to make.
Well, what do you know about that?
As Family Affair grew in popularity, so did the demands on the cast, and it hit Anissa particularly hard. The production schedule was grueling, and she found herself dedicating most of her life to it.
That's what Uncle Bill says.
The show filmed all year round, and the youngster would often work 7-day weeks to meet network deadlines. Family Affair only continued to gain in popularity as time went on, and CBS executives considered the show a bona fide hit. It didn't take long for it to hit number 1 in the ratings, and Buffy and the rest of the characters became household names overnight. Jones's character was rarely seen without her on-screen doll, Mrs. Beasley. She was so popular that the network released a real-life version, which became the best-selling doll in America. There were Buffy colouring books, lunchboxes, a line of children's clothing, and even a cookbook with Jones on the cover. Anissa became known for her deep kindness and her undying love for her brother Paul, who would always accompany her to set. Whenever she received gifts, she would insist that her brother get one too. If this wasn't possible, she would graciously give her gift away, wanting to share equally with her brother.
And I had my picture on a record album. Would you be proud of me?
Cast and crew members alike on Family Affair continually praised Jones's talents and kind-heartedness. One co-star later gushed about her intelligence and natural ability as an actor, noting that she would always make friends with guest stars so they'd feel welcome on set. She may have even charmed one of the biggest names of the day. In her short career, Jones only ever made one feature film appearance. In 1969, at the height of her celebrity, Jones got a small role in the film The Trouble with Girls, alongside none other than Elvis Presley. Despite her low movie count, Hollywood nonetheless pursued Anissa Jones for her charming personality in other ways. Between 1967 and 71, she appeared as a guest on no fewer than 5 talk shows, including Merv Griffin's and Dick Cavett.
How are you, my child?
Additionally, in 1967, she presented an award at that year's Emmys, likely making her one of the youngest ever to do so. But fame soon began to wear on the young star. Family Affair was the one thing most young actors want, a steady job. But as the years went on, Anissa began to see the dark side of her popularity. She began to tire of playing Buffy. She resented the character for seemingly trapping her in childhood and saw the role as babyish. Soon her displeasure with it all began to come through on screen. Her performances in later seasons of Family Affair were not as energetic or convivial. Perhaps in part due to Buffy's less than enthusiastic screen presence, Family Affair's ratings began to slump.
Good heavens, I'm afraid to ask the next question. What was in it?
In 1971, it was cancelled after 5 seasons. Anissa Jones, now only 12 years old, was delighted and eager to begin the next phase of her career. But the looming shadow of the character of Buffy would prove difficult to shake.
I think we've got a guest.
You're gonna die up there.
She auditioned for the role of Regan McNeil in the 1973 horror classic The Exorcist. Playing the part of a young girl possessed by a demon would have been the perfect pivot for the burgeoning actress. But director William Friedkin gave the role to Linda Blair instead, citing his difficulty in imagining adorable Anissa in such a horrific role. In yet another attempt to avoid being typecast, she auditioned for the role of Iris in Martin Scorsese's 1976 classic, Taxi Driver. Again, the part couldn't have been less like Buffy. Iris was a 13-year-old street worker who attracts the attention of Robert De Niro's character, Travis Bickle. But perhaps Scorsese suffered the same mental blockage as Friedkin, because the role instead went to Jodie Foster. Jones began to spiral. As she entered her teen years and with little professional success, Anissa Jones decided to lean into her previously denied freedom. She turned to substance use and shoplifting for thrills. She tried a few normal jobs, but couldn't seem to hold one down, and she reportedly suffered from erratic mood swings. By this time, Jones's parents' long custody battle had ended, and she and her brother had gone to live with their father. However, on March 7, 1974, he died from cardiovascular disease, 4 days before his daughter's 16th birthday. Although Jones's mother Mary was technically her guardian, she never spent any time at the family home. This infuriated Mary. Anissa would disappear for days with her friends, whom her mother felt were a very bad influence on her only daughter. Such was her contempt for Anissa's new lifestyle that Mary often filed missing person reports with the authorities after not seeing Anissa for days. Her entry into adulthood didn't ease her mother's worrying. Anissa turned 18 on March 11, 1976, which meant she was finally entitled to all the money she'd earned on Family Affair. Previously kept in a savings account on her behalf, this one-time payout was massive, and she immediately began putting it towards her new favourite hobby, partying. Naturally, this meant that her substance use worsened, and her life began to spiral further. She had received a payout of just under $200,000, and after 4 or 5 months, she'd blown through most of it. On August 27th, Jones took a trip with her boyfriend and some friends to party in the beachside town of Oceanside, California. The party would end up at the home of the father of one of Jones's 14-year-old friends. The next morning, August 28th, Anissa Jones was found dead from an overdose. Such was the extent of her indulgence that even the coroner was shocked at how such a young girl managed to consume so much. He called it one of the most severe overdoses he had ever seen. Anissa Jones had always loved the seaside. After holding a small private service, her family had her body cremated and scattered her ashes over the Pacific Ocean. Among the items found at the scene of Jones's death was an envelope with the business address of Dr. Don Carlos Moschos. This envelope contained a detailed description of the type and quantity of one of the substances that showed up on Jones's toxicology report. Moschos had allegedly been playing the role of Jones's Dr. Feelgood, prescribing Anissa illicit substances on demand. Indeed, prior to her death, Moschos was already under investigation for his suspicious professional practices. The evidence began to mount. At the news of Moschos's potential involvement in Jones's demise, the media began to swarm, with reports digging up any damning information they could find. Many of the occupants of the building of Moschos's practice reported the popularity of the doctor's services, speaking of the long lines they would often see outside his office. The numbers were astounding. Jones's doctor appeared to work tirelessly to supply anyone that would give him business. A report released around his investigation revealed that Moschos would write over 100 prescriptions a day. He had no qualms about who he'd sell to either. Though she was only 18 at the time of her death, Anissa Jones nonetheless fit the bill for Moschos's average client. When a local news team visited his office, they found it full of young people, most of them somewhere around Jones's age. It was no wonder she was able to procure the heroic dose that killed her. Moschos made it very easy for troubled young teens to get their hands on dangerous amounts of substances. The report released by the local news team alleged that Moschos only required a patient to show a valid ID, after which he would sell them a prescription for whatever they wanted for the low price of just $5. With all the evidence they'd gathered, the authorities made their move. Just 6 days after Jones's body was discovered, Moschos was apprehended at his office in Torrance, California. He was charged with illegally prescribing Seconal to the young actress, but was also slapped with multiple prescriptions for profit charges in a separate undercover investigation. His charges amounted to 11 offences, but Jones's killer would never see justice. Despite his profession, Moschos was a very unhealthy individual. He suffered from diabetes, hepatitis, and high blood pressure. On December 6, 1976, he was admitted to hospital where he died 3 weeks later, just 4 months after his most famous patient. Jones's family still wanted their day in court. They sued the doctor's estate for $400,000. A 1979 verdict found the doctor only 30% liable for the young actress's passing, resulting in a $79,500 payout to her family. In 1984, Jones's mother Mary experienced another unimaginable tragedy. She lost another young child to substance abuse. Anissa's cherished brother Paul overdosed on March 15th of that year, days after what would have been his sister's 26th birthday. He was only 24. Anissa Jones wasn't the only cast member of Family Affair to suffer an untimely demise. Her co-star Sebastian Cabot died from a stroke in 1977 at the age of 59, and another castmate, Brian Keith, took his own life in 1997. These tragedies and Anissa's life are a damning indictment of the physical and mental toll that show business can take on some of its most vulnerable talents. If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a